I did briefly touch on this in my Parker Ruiz post-fight video, but apparently Hughie Fury is now the mandatory challenger for newly crowned WBO World Heavyweight Champion Joseph Parker. And Frank Warren is the promoter of Hughie Fury. Some people tried to dispute this in previous videos where I mentioned this, but no, if you go look up your facts, you'll find out that Frank Warren is the promoter of Hughie Fury. It's not just Hughie Fury being attached to Box Nation. He actually has a promotional deal with Frank Warren. I'm not sure if it's a co-promotional deal along with Hennessy. I don't know. But I do know that Frank Warren is at least one of Hughie Fury's official promoters. And Frank Warren's relationship with the WBO over the years has been very strong. When the WBO was not recognized as a legitimate governing body, Frank Warren was one of the main people, if not the main people in boxing, who helped the WBO gain recognition as legitimate eventually, because he had a lot of his fighters fight for the WBO title. People like Prince Nassim, so on and so forth. So he's going to be pushing very, very hard, and he has a lot of clout with the WBO for that Hughie Fury Joseph Parker fight to happen as soon as possible. I've seen several articles written by Frank Warren over the past week or so since the Joseph Parker fight, and one article written by Warren and other people quoting Warren, and he says that he would like the Hughie Fury Joseph Parker fight to happen in the United Kingdom. That's what he's going to be pushing for. I have mentioned this previously, but New Zealand has got a very small population. You can only make so much money out of a fight in New Zealand, both in terms of TV money and also ticket sales, because of that small population. So Parker's team might actually be open to having their first defense against the mandatory challenger against Hughie Fury in the UK. If Frank Warren can deliver it in a big arena, maybe like the O2 or the MEN, in front of 16, 18, 19,000 people, whatever the capacity of the MEN is, it might be more than that. If they can do that, and they can do box office on BT Sport, potentially, then I could see Joseph Parker and his team saying, yup, we'll do that. We're there. No problem. That's a big payday for us. We'll come and fight Hughie Fury. If the fight goes ahead next, and Joseph Parker and his team don't manage to get that unification with Deontay Wilder, because unifications a lot of the time trump mandatory fights. Although step aside money usually has to be paid to the mandatory challenger in order for them to agree to allow the unification to go ahead. But if the unification don't go ahead between Parker and Wilder, how do you see a Parker-Hughie Fury fight going? I've seen very, very widely contrasting views on Hughie Fury. Some people believe that he's actually very good and he's a dark horse in the division. And other people are very dismissive of Hughie Fury. They say he's rubbish. He'll get knocked out by Joshua, knocked out by Parker, knocked out by... I mean, there's some people out there that don't even believe Hughie Fury is a legitimate top 10 contender at heavyweight at all. I've seen a lot of people who believe this. They look at some of his performances and they're not impressed. A lot of people were not impressed by his performance against Fred Cassie. They believe he should have blasted Cassie out of there. I think that's harsh, because Cassie is a very, very difficult man to look good against. He's a spoiler. And I think Hughie Fury did well enough in that fight. For me, anyway. So, yeah, there's a lot of very contrasting opinions when it comes to Hughie Fury. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. How good do you think Hughie Fury is, or how good do you think he could be potentially? And if he does fight Joseph Parker in his next fight, as I'm sure Frank Warren will be trying to make happen, and I'm sure Frank Warren wants, how do you see the fight going? Hughie Fury versus Joseph Parker. Do you think if it was in the UK or New Zealand, it would affect the outcome of the fight significantly, or the way the fight would play out? Do you think Joseph Parker will travel well? Remember, the time difference between New Zealand and the United Kingdom is massive. I think it might be like 12 hours. So whoever has to travel is going to have to be dealing with some serious jet lag. And some people deal with jet lag better than others. Some people can adjust very easily to jet lag. Other people can't. And incidentally, this did make me chuckle, but Eric Molina, following his third round knockout loss to Anthony Joshua, he actually blamed his poor performance on jet lag. So, it is what it is. I don't really buy into that too much. I think Molina was just there for a paycheck regardless. But jet lag is a real thing. Anybody who's traveled, particularly if you've traveled a lot and traveled to countries which are very, very far away from the country that you live, you know all about jet lag and the way it can affect you. And a lot of the time, you won't really notice something like jet lag if you're just going about your day-to-day business, going to the shops, going outside, walking on the beach. You won't really notice jet lag then as much as you will if you're in a gym training, because that's when you really are trying to reach into the energy reserves of your body and, test yourself physically. When you're in a situation like that, that's when you can realize, oh, okay, I'm jet lagged. I thought I was fine until I got in the gym and I started throwing punches and there's nothing there. My body just is not used to being awake at this particular time. I'm normally asleep at this time. So, yeah, that's when jet lag can hit you when you're actually in the gym training, not just walking around and doing the tourist stuff. So whoever has to travel in that fight, depending on how well they deal with jet lag, it could be an issue for them. I don't think Hughie Fury, as far as I'm aware, has he ever fought abroad before? He might have fought in Europe a couple of times. In fact, yeah, he did. I think he fought in Europe a couple of times. Correct me if I'm wrong. But nowhere with a massive time difference. Joseph Parker has been training in Las Vegas for several years now. I don't know what the time difference is between Vegas and New Zealand, but it's probably fairly significant. So, I don't know, man. The jet lag is something you would have to at least factor into the equation because, as I say, different people deal with it better than others. And stylistically, how do you think Joseph Parker and Hughie Fury match up? Hughie Fury is taller. He's 6'6". I think he's listed as 6'6". Parker is 6'4". Parker, to me, seems the faster of the two. Not that Hughie Fury is slow, but Parker is very fast for a big man. 6'4", 245, whatever he weighs. He's very fast. Parker can punch. He's got good boxing skills. He's very athletic. Both guys are young. I think Parker's only like 24, 25. Hughie Fury's about 22, 23. They're both very young guys. I like the fight, actually. I quite like it. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the greatest heavyweight fight out there, but it's a fight I like. It will be the second time that Joseph Parker has faced an undefeated fighter in a row. He just beat Andy Ruiz, then he'd be going in against Hughie Fury. And even if the Hughie Fury fight don't happen and he fights Wilder, that'll be another undefeated fighter that Joseph Parker's going up against. So you really have to take your hat off to Joseph Parker in terms of what he's trying to do in his career. He ain't fighting cream puffs, not at this stage anyway. The Takam fight was a tough fight. On paper, the Dimitrenko fight was fairly decent, and he just blew through him. The Ruiz fight on paper was certainly good, an undefeated fighter. And now Hughie Fury, I think, is a decent fight. And Wilder, obviously, is a very good fight. So I like the direction that Parker and his team are going. Let me know what you feel about this potential fight between Joseph Parker and his mandatory challenger, Hughie Fury. How do you see it playing out? Who do you think would win? Would it go the distance? Would it end by KO? Let me know what you feel. And do you think it's a good fight at all? Do you think it'll be competitive? Do you think one guy or the other guy will win it decisively? Are you somebody who's impressed by Hughie Fury, or you think he's not really a legitimate top 10 contender? Drop it all in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.